Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, Brielle LeBlanc and Doug O'Handley of rock band Luscious. They're from Kingston. They just had a great show in Belleville opening up for the Beaches, and they've got a bunch of great music for you to listen to. Let's dive in with Brielle and Doug. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out. It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about, and it's a podcast about what our guest is passionate about. Today, I am super excited to be joined by Brielle LeBlanc and also joined by her keyboardist, Doug O'Handley. And it's so awesome to have them both here today. How are you doing?
We're doing very well. How are you, Warren?
I'm
doing well?
I'm pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to have you here because you guys are part of the band known as Luscious, and you're out of the Kingston, Ontario music scene. Is that correct?
Correct.
Sorry, just turning up my headphones there. So were you born in the Kingston area, Brielle?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Kingston. I did live in Odessa, a little outside of Kingston, and now I live in Inverary, the other countryside of Kingston. So yeah, I've been here my whole life, and so has Doug. Doug's been here
Yeah, I
the
was
whole time.
born and raised
Yeah,
in
we're
Kingston, Ontario.
true Kingstonians.
Try to travel as much as possible so I don't get stuck in the small town mentality, but we like it here.
Oh, what a fantastic place, right? It's one of Canada's great incubators for music, for bands. I have great experiences in Kingston, meeting different people there that can help you through the scene and help you learn things. And I've got great memories at certain venues there. I want to go through them with you as well. But also staying back here in time. So you're a young person in Kingston. Let's say, I like to ask this question. What's the first song you literally can remember that was popular culture that has stayed with you to this very moment? It's still popping up in your mind.
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
I mean, for me, this is gonna sound funny. I'm gonna date myself as a millennial. I Wanted That Away by the Backstreet Boys. That one. That's probably the first song I have a memory of seeing a music video for. So yeah, definitely didn't influence my musical taste though.
Hey, that's cool
No,
though.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. A little pop moment.
What about you, Brielle?
For me, I would have to say it was Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks, which I mean, pop culture moment though. That's a little, 70s retro.
A little bit before our time.
Yeah, that was way before our time. But
See, this is the thing in this band. I'm the 30-year-old dude in the band, and all of the Gen Zs that are much younger than me are like pulling out these classic rock examples. And yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit
I
older
do
than
remember
you guys.
during the time when the band started, Serena Ryder, she was huge kind of at the time, a Canadian artist. So I remember seeing her on sort of stages I would love to be on during that time. It was sort of millennial era.
Yeah.
I was a little younger. I started young, so yeah, but I don't know. There was so many, women in rock. That was huge for me. Even growing up seeing that.
So what did you get
Runaways.
into first then? Was there a band that first took your heart over in your youth, in your young years? Was there some band that took over and really started to shape your mind a bit?
100%. I feel like I loved the 70s and 80s personally. So, going on YouTube, once again, Stevie Nicks, Debbie Harry, Blondie,
Runaways.
the Runaways, also, No Doubt, one of those. She's my girl, Gwen.
See, I knew it.
Britney Spears, yeah. You knew it, right? You see the influence, right?
I don't only see it, I hear it. I'm also now listening to styles of voices, and what people are doing with their voices is super intriguing to me now that I've been doing it for a while, and I love it so much, thinking about the things I do to my voice, for example. Right now, you're not getting Mr. Gravelly killer on the mic, but that's something fun I like to do sometimes. I like to bring
You
that
kill
character
it.
out, right? It's a
Yeah,
character. It's a character.
it
But
is a character.
I can hear a lot of natural elements in your voice right now, in your speaking voice, that come out very nice in your singing voice. And that's a great compliment,
Yeah.
because people who have nice natural sounds coming out and they don't have to do anything to it, that's the best. That's always the best case scenario. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, Gwen Stefani, I could hear that influence coming out of you a little bit.
Yeah, I love pop and rock. I love, I also love Britney Spears, but I also love MGMT. When they did Kids, that was so iconic to me.
Classic.
That sort of, it's a classic era.
Mhm.
Empire of the Sun. I love David Usher from Moist, Gord Downey, The Hip, of course.
Mhm.
So many different influences that was like, wow, like I want to do this and I want to be in a band.
We're in one of those.
Yeah, we're in one. We
Well,
we made it, guys.
Well, you're not a typical, I don't know. Actually, I don't even think you can say that today, typical. I don't think that means anything. But you're not a girly girl or anything like that. I think you're happy to be in this rock scene and then bring the girly girl to the rock scene and party it all out. And it's like, it's a great combination, I think.
Oh, thank you. I do love that combo, and I think you hit it on the nail. It's not something forced. I'm just who I am, and my femininity, it sort of comes out in rock naturally. I'm not trying to. This isn't a gimmick to me. This is just my life, and
If you were a girly girl at heart, you wouldn't survive through our rehearsals.
exactly. If I was a girly girl, yeah, I wouldn't be in this band.
Yeah.
But
Have you spent
I
time on the
love
road with the
women
boys
in
yet?
rock.
Sorry?
Sorry, have you spent time on the road yet with the boys? Like, have you
Yeah.
gone hotel
We
tripping with
Oh,
haven't
the boys?
we haven't gone on like a long tour or anything, but we've done plenty of out of town shows.
yeah, a lot of traveling and on the road in
I
that
have
way.
the luxury of working for Marriott, so I get really cheap hotels, so we don't have to rough it when we stay overnight.
Awesome.
But being on the road, packing up all your crap, being stuck in a small Jeep with 4 or 5 people is always a fun time.
Getting a Tim's bagel that's been sitting there for 12 hours and you're like, that's good enough. Let's
Yeah.
go,
It's really good.
The road
Yeah.
life. You know it.
Oh yeah. Like, I know sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll look over at bed number 2, because there's like 2 beds and there's like 2 men in this bed and there's 2 men in the other bed, and then there's one guy who's like sprawled on the floor, or he's like, on some kind of made up contraption. That's generally me, because I'm the smallest one.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I'll wake up in the middle of the night, I look over, and like there's the guitarist, and he's like got a muffin that he's like stashed between the beds, and like all of a sudden he's like eating the whole thing, and then it's gone. And then I'm like, what did I just witness? Like some kind of ravenous beast came out of sleep for a moment and then it's gone right
Yeah.
back into it. And so do you get your own bed, Brielle, or like how do you do this? Like I wake up in those hotel rooms and it stinks. It stinks. And I tell the men in the room, I say, get the windows open, get out of here. Like, this is
Oh yeah.
disgusting.
I, I've had those moments, but you know what? I'm so used to it. I've been in Luscious for, almost 8 years.
We are approaching 8 years in, I guess it would be October, or no, I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Ooh,
Actually, no, we're
anniversary's
already at
coming.
8 years.
Oh,
In
okay.
March
Yeah.
this year, it was 8 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yay. Well,
crazy.
yeah, so I've been in this band for 8 years with the guys, so
Mhm.
they feel like family, but yeah, when there is an opportunity to have my own bed, I'm like, this is my side, this is
Yeah.
my bed. You guys can sleep on.
We usually book 2 rooms, so
Yeah, but I
Oh,
feel
we,
wow.
comfortable with these people, there's
Brielle,
never been issues like
you
in
get your
that
own
way.
room sometimes.
well, not her own
That's
room, but
Oh, she has
no,
to share. Okay, fair enough.
we've
Fair
got
enough.
my
I
roadie,
wish.
as I like to
I
call
wish.
her, my girlfriend. We've been together for almost as long as the band, so she's my unofficial roadie. So we usually get a hotel room together, and then I make the band sleep in another room with 2 beds.
Yeah, and I tag along with the band, but one of them's usually on the floor, and they're generous enough to give me my space, and they know, she
Mhm.
needs her little space. But I'm used to it. I can work around anything, and I have, right? It's being in a band, you just know these are your people, and you make it work no matter what. I love doing this with them, so I'll make anything, work for me, and I have my routine, and they understand that,
Mhm.
being a
Oof.
rocker
I
and
I wish my band understood more my routine. And, if I do anything, they just say I'm a diva. And then, oh, Warren, carry some more stuff. Oh, Warren, you don't do this. And, that's fine. Guitarists are the bane of my existence. And I've made no bones about it. They like to pick on me. And that's okay. Uh,
same. No.
yeah, right? They just, gosh, guitarists, and they're wild. So, like, we were in Toronto recording, and Miguel, he's from Quebec, and he's got a great French accent. He went out to the bars in Toronto, and he had his Montreal Canadiens jersey on. And I was like, don't do that. I'm like, don't.
Mhm.
Like, I need you in the studio tomorrow. Like, I don't want you
Yeah.
I don't want you getting arrested tonight. And so then he wanders back in at some point, and God knows what time in the morning. And Alex, my bass player, came down to take care of him and like make sure he was going to be okay. But Mig like passed out in the bathroom, and he pushed the toilet over, and he's just kind of laying there. And Alex comes over to him, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And Mig started going, "Man, I'm worried about all the chemicals in the air right now from that train explosion that happened in the States, man. It's a lot of chemicals in the air." And we were like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what he cares about right now? Like,
Mhm.
what is wrong with guitar players? Like, they're
They're
insane.
their own breed, you
Mhm.
know? They're yeah, I can't they're
Guitar players are an interesting type of person. I
yeah.
do
Yeah.
I
know
have
that,
frontman syndrome, so I don't
well,
know.
yeah. I mean, she has her own quirks being a singer.
Yeah.
You're not a
It
diva
comes
by any means, but
Oh, thank you. I try
yeah.
not to be, I'm just me and I love, being in the band
Mhm.
and
I get to
it's
fulfill the
natural.
role as the coolest guy in the band, being the keyboard player, clearly.
Yeah.
Only
Well,
second to the bass player.
The
you
bass
know,
player's the coolest always.
yeah, the bass player must love you. And that's your brother, isn't it, Brielle?
Yes,
It is.
it's Cole LeBlanc,
Mhm.
my
Yes,
bro,
yes.
and
I mean,
that works well too with the band dynamic.
yeah, do you guys ever play that angle up, or did you used to play that angle up? Like the whole you have got the brother sister in the band?
It's a long story.
Yeah,
Oh, you
it's
see,
sort of
oh, okay, I understand. I won't pick then. I won't pick. But that's
Oh,
cool.
it it's like we are very happy to have Cole in the band now because we've kind of gone through a lot of bass players over the years. The first bass player
mhm.
we had was like at heart, I'm a prog snob at heart. Um, so my best friend Sean, when we formed the band, I essentially said to him like, "Hey, you want to be in this rock band?" And he's like, "Oh, it's not really my style." And it's like, "Yeah, but Sean, you want to do it as a favor?" And I could tell after about a year of doing it, he was starting to love it. Like he acted like,
Mm,
"Oh, I'm too
yeah.
music theory nerd for this," but he did like it.
Oh
But
yeah.
then eventually, me and him started another project. He left the band. We got another bass player. He was our bass player for a few years, and we always kind of had random fill-ins here and there. So the only position in the band that hasn't been like static is the bass player.
Okay.
So we were really lucky that we found Cole because he's sort of on the same path as us. He understands the vision. He contributes in a meaningful way, which is really nice to have a bass player that's actually really involved in the writing process because a lot of times they kind of just show up and they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, it kind of just happened like, so naturally
Mhm,
and he's so talented. He understands our dynamic so well and he's so talented. He was in a band called Sweet Talk Jackie and
mhm.
um
It's a shame they're not a band anymore.
yeah,
It
they
was
were
a
a
sweet
great
band.
band and we've played on
Yeah.
the bill with them.
Yeah,
So,
actually, our first show was at the
yeah.
Mansion, and Sweet Talk Jackie was gracious enough
You might have played
to
with them.
open
Yeah,
for
I don't
us.
know.
So that was an
I don't know
interesting
if I
night.
did. I played the Mansion. I mean, I've never had as good a night at the Mansion as you have had. I've had probably more bad nights at the Mansion than good nights. And that's
Well,
why
I
like
mean,
I just couldn't get people to come upstairs. Like sometimes there's like 100 and some Queens people downstairs in their jackets and their engineering jackets and
Mhm.
stuff. And I'd be
mhm.
like, yo, come upstairs. Like, I'll take cover off the door. Like, I don't even care. Just come upstairs.
Yeah, just come
And
up
Yeah.
here.
like,
I'll
if you don't
grab
like
you.
Mhm,
one song, if one song you don't like it, okay, bye bye. But come on, give
mhm.
me a chance. And so
Yeah.
I have had some good memories there as well now, and some good shows as well. But it took me a while. Like as an outsider,
Yeah.
outsider going into Kingston, my first gigs there were not were not great, fantastic, sold out gigs. And then I went on to try the Toucan, which I found was fantastic. We really enjoyed our time playing the Toucan. It was a great experience. They expect a lot out of their bands. Like they need
Mhm.
a lot of material from you, and they need
Yep.
you to be really have your stuff together, which every bar should. But I found they were really particular about that, and that was fine. And I
Yeah.
did do some Gord Downey, and I didn't get booed, so it was all good. I was able
Yay.
to leave Kingston without crying, although it was close in my opinion. And
Mhm.
yeah, where else did I play in Kingston? Overtime and Blue Martini. Blue
Yeah.
Love the
Martini, what a
blue.
stage! What a
It's an
Oh
stage!
yeah.
amazing stage. We always
Mhm.
have such, all of those venues. We've had very beautiful, unique experiences. We've been a band, like we said, for 8 years, so we worked our way in these bars too, and we've had our nights before where it's a grind.
Yeah.
But we've had so many beautiful moments, and the Blue Martini, that's one of our spots where the stage, like when you're an energetic band and you're a rock band, it's like that is the perfect stage. It's the lights are great.
Mhm.
Trevor, the sound
Yeah.
guy's great.
Trevor and Anita are great.
Anita is
Yes,
amazing on the lights. Like you know them. They're
Hmm.
amazing
yeah.
and they make it a rock show, a really cool show.
Yeah. Now that
Yeah.
we've played every venue in Kingston now, we should do like a series, like Kingston venues as an animal in the wild or something like that. Blue
Yeah.
Martini would be like a fucking soaring eagle.
It would be the soaring eagle of Kingston. It really is,
I loved it
I
there.
love that venue.
I really enjoyed it because I was like, "Oh, this is so intimate, but it's providing
Mhm.
a much bigger sound and a much bigger stage to this room." Like it could be smaller, but they've gone out of their way to make it, top notch, and I really
Mhm.
appreciated it there for sure. But like
Yeah.
I love playing Kingston in general, just like because it's such a cool city and there's like a nice vibe to it in general. Like I love characters and vibes and pretending and feeling like I'm in a movie, and Kingston's a great place to feel that way, I think sometimes if you're not from there.
Mhm.
I want to
Absolutely.
talk about one of your bigger shows that just happened, or I think it just happened at the Empire Rock Fest.
Yes. That was
Yes.
in July
Yeah.
19th.
And that's in
A
Belleville.
month exactly.
That's
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Belleville that happened, and you guys got to open for the Beaches.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dizzy.
And Dizzy as well, who's
Yeah.
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
tell me about it.
it was a good time. Like, we played at Rockfest or not Rockfest at Empire Theater previous to that, but it was during COVID, so it was like a live stream event, which was cool. But being able to actually play the festival, and of all the festival type shows we played, it's was far and away the most organized and
Mm,
professional. Like it was very clearly all the crew, everybody involved knew exactly what they were doing. Everybody was in the right place at the right time. Um, we've got to bring our own sound guy, which was really nice too. So we brought him in,
smart.
and he worked with the techs that were already there. And yeah, it was way smoother than a lot of the shows we play because you're a musician, trying to organize a bunch of musicians to work towards a common goal is not always the easiest thing to do. So I was impressed with how smooth it all went,
It was so
and
smooth. Yeah.
opening for the Beaches was amazing. Like they're a pretty objectively, as far as popularity goes, they're currently the biggest rock band in Canada. They just won all those Juno, or they won Best Rock Album and Best Rock. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
it
Group of
was
the
an honor to
Year,
open for
Rock
them. Yeah,
Album of the Year.
yeah.
Yeah. And we actually got to meet them and they
Hmm.
were so sweet. We had some,
They were humble, which
very
was
humble,
amazing because you
very sweet.
never
And,
expect that from a big act.
they were giving, advice and they're just like super
Huh.
cool chicks.
Mhm.
Like they're
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And yeah, it
That's
was
so
a
cool.
beautiful experience. Yeah. And Dizzy was amazing too. She was such a cool artist and the band was great. And yeah, couldn't have asked for a better night, I
Mhm.
think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes bands, like when you open for bigger bands, they don't talk to you. They go to their own room and they kind of hide and all that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
really, really amazing when they do the opposite of that and they take the time to talk to you. I think it's amazing. It's kind of like it's the same way. It's how they treat their fans, right? And if they treat you the same way they treat their fans, I think that's a really, like you said, it's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah, they're top they're top dog right now. They're they had that massive hit this summer. I think the only
Yeah,
song that rivaled that song in popularity was the pop song Espresso. Uh,
Mhm.
and
love
besides,
that one too.
right? And I think those are the two songs of the summer. That's my opinion,
Yeah,
anyway. And that
for
they
sure.
really dominated rock and pop and
Mhm.
took hold of those two categories. But that must have been so cool. I remember talking with Crownlands after opening for them and like how
Great
feeling,
band.
Mhm.
yeah, how blessed I felt just getting the chance to hear their opinion on things and just getting to pick their brain a little bit. And then how honest they were. And you get to witness how hardworking these bands are. Like when
Oh
I
yeah.
saw
For sure.
Crownlands, like they drove their own van in, they brought their own guitar tech, they brought their own costumes, they brought everything for
Mhm.
themselves, they set it up
Yep.
themselves. They didn't need anybody. Like they could use it, but and then when it came time for merch sales, they sold it themselves. And
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
they sold 5 boxes of vinyl in front of my eyes like this. Poof.
That's
We're
crazy.
out we're out of vinyl.
Wow.
We're all out.
Oh,
I'm sitting there going, I still got some. I still got
Mhm.
some. But
We had a we had a really cool moment actually after the show, and this is sort of like a hallmark moment, if you will. We had a couple of people backstage with us, and they had asked us to sign our set list. And one of the set lists that we signed for these people, the one guy he was pretty drunk, so he forgot his set list. Anyways, so we had this extra set list with all of our signatures on it, and I went over to the merch table after the whole night was wrapped up, and there's this group of teenagers, about 4 or 5 teenagers, and the one teenager was at the merch table when they were packing up, and they're asking if we had any merch signed by Brielle, and
oh,
we didn't at the time, unfortunately. But my girlfriend heard them talking about this, and she had the set list in her pocket. So I walked over with the set list, and I said, I think that's Brielle's signature right here. Would you like it? And they like, just seeing their reaction made me feel like a rock star. Honestly, that was
oh
pretty cool
yeah.
having these
No,
kids like asking for signed stuff from us. So
it
that was
was
pretty cool.
insane.
Yeah.
It was just sort of like a surreal experience and just
Hmm.
going, out. I was going out to see some of my family and people are just grabbing me and grabbing me everywhere. Like, you were Luscious, right? And
Hmm.
it was really a surreal experience, the whole thing. And
Hmm.
everyone was
It
so kind to
was
us, asking us for selfies everywhere,
it was cool
and
too, like
yeah.
in the middle of our set, looking out into the crowd, and you could already see Luscious hats and Luscious
Yeah,
t-shirts.
Luscious merch
And
was
even
in the
I was like, who
audience.
is buying our merch? Like, they haven't even finished seeing our set yet. Like, who are all these people? Because there weren't some of our family, yeah, obviously, but I couldn't recognize some of the people with the merch, and that
Mhm.
that's
also was really cool. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of support in the music scene. Like, even
totally.
people that don't know your band, they'll support you if they like what they hear. So,
And the
yeah.
Crownlands, they're an amazing band, and it's such an honor to be in the same sort of, opening spot that they were because, I know Cody a little bit and they're talented musicians, very talented, and they've really
Scary
worked their
talented.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Terrifyingly
talented.
talented. I watched
Yeah.
them from the side of the stage just to try and get as much detail as to what was going on in their show. And they're just way too good. They're just way too smooth. When Kevin comes out and starts playing the bass pedal and the guitar at the same time, and then
Yeah.
Cody's
Yeah.
bringing up the drums, and then he starts
And the
singing so
vocals with the
sweetly,
drums. Yeah.
yeah, like he sings so beautifully. And then afterwards, like when they talk to people, they're so soft spoken and so sweet to people. And they like took t-shirts from all of us, that they were like telling us what they were
Mhm.
gonna do to them. They're like, oh, I'm gonna cut this up. Like I like the girl style t-shirts better than the boy style
Mhm.
t-shirts. And we're like, cool,
Yeah.
take the girl one then,
Aw.
like I don't care. And like
Mhm.
Yeah.
they were just they showed me that there are multiple examples of these Canadian bands who do pretty much like 90% of everything. It's like
Yep, exactly.
there's a little bit that they don't do, but it's only a little bit. And it's like, it's terrifying because I know so many people, they think, oh, I'm going to get my project to a certain place and then it'll get whisked away and taken away with some money and it'll get, make better. But sometimes that doesn't happen. So like, it's cool to see these hardworking Canadian bands. And
Mhm.
their advice to me was, because I was talking to them about albums versus singles, and I want to get into that with you guys. So you've released singles recently. Most recently, you just released one not very long ago at all, right?
Mhm. I
Yeah.
was.
Mine.
When was that? I can't
Yeah, it
remember. It
was
was July.
yeah, it was
Yes,
July, so
July
last
12th.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
yeah. So what they told me was like, because we were saying like, what do we do? Do we do singles? Do we do albums? What's your advice, guys? And they said, well, we do whatever we want,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
we don't worry
Yeah.
about anything else. They
Mhm.
said honestly, they said, you know, we're a prog band and we release prog albums. And if
Mhm.
people don't want that, then we're not the band for them. We're the
Yep.
band that does
Mhm.
full albums, that does prog albums. And so I love their perspective that it was very confident.
Yeah.
There was no like, oh no, we should be doing singles. No. They just had a good plan. And I like that like for myself, my band had to do singles. And for us, it was a matter of cost. It's a matter of cost efficiency and bang for your buck and things like
Yes.
this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
but I respect all opinions and all ways of doing things. And I loved hearing like their passion and their commitment to their style of doing it.
Mhm.
Talking about seeing your merchandise in the crowd. I remember coming out for the JJ Wild show at the Bronson Center here in
Love her.
Ottawa. And it
Yeah.
was the
Mhm.
same feeling. I had the same reaction. I looked out in the crowd and I went, well, that's a lot of Taming Sorry shirts. I haven't
Yeah.
sold that many shirts. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are all these people? I don't have that money. You know, like
Yep,
what's
Mhm.
going
exactly.
on out here? You know, and but another night where you just kind of you get humbled. It was a humbling night, but I think the most humbling, like Crownlands, was very, very humbling because of the amount of musicianship
Yeah.
that they're doing at the same time as trying to sing
Mhm.
and perform. Cody ran off stage at one point so Kevin could do a solo. And while Kevin's doing a solo, Cody runs back. He takes a beer. He chugs it. One go, the whole beer, it's gone. Then he picks up this thing that looks like a vape, that looks like a vape thing, and he's going, and I'm going, no way. I'm going, no
This can't
way.
be real.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, no. And then he goes out on stage and he starts singing like an angel. And I was like, I'm so confused right now. So like afterwards, I'm like, Cody,
What is this magic? Yeah.
what did I witness? And he like gave me a
Yeah.
website and he's like, it's essential oils. He's like, oh yeah, all the big cats do it. It's
Ooh,
essential oils. He's
I
like, so
like
what
that.
I was like, he's lubricating his voice. So there's
Right.
like, it's so friggin' cool, right? The little details you can see if you stand at the side of these things and you get to see these big cats in
Another
action.
perspective for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll look over to my right and I'll see, speaking of, chugging beer on stage, I'll see Kurt doing a slide solo with a beer bottle. And every
Yeah.
time it cracks me up and I have to like keep myself from laughing because it's awesome, but it's also hilarious.
It was
Oh
quite
yeah.
hilarious.
Oh yeah, there's always these funny moments that can happen. I was saying before at a show at Lake Huron, these guys came with tequila and they were just pouring it into Mig's mouth while he was playing, and I was like, "This is so
Luscious.
bad. This is so bad." And like within like two songs, like Mig was like, yeah, tequila Mig,
Yeah.
like he was. And I was like, oh, man, I'm glad we're in like Lake Huron in the middle of nowhere right now because like
Yeah, it's you're reading the room quite literally.
I was like, get that stuff away from me. I am not drinking while I'm singing. Like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
I
that.
cannot do that either.
There's a
It's
sweet
yeah,
spot
no.
for me. Like for playing, I can get blind drunk and play it fine. It's weird. I don't know. I think it's all so muscle memory because I've been playing for so long. But singing, if there's a sweet spot, if I am at the sweet spot, the singing's fine. But if I go anywhere past that sweet spot, I sing like shit. So you gotta be careful.
That's because
I
of the
can't even
vibe.
touch it while I'm singing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vibe will
after, that's a different
override.
Yeah.
That the vibe overrides and the passion's there,
Mhm.
but then the talent falls away. It's like you're not
Yeah.
listening as much for some reason or something, You're just loving
Mm,
it. You're just feeling it. I've been there too. It's lessons I think singers got to learn.
mm,
Performers in a bar scene have to learn. Right? Am I going to drink? How much am I going to drink? Am I a scenester? Am I a professional? What am I trying to portray? And over the years, I've been kind of hard on myself about that because I've realized, oh, well, oftentimes people would see me with a beer in my hand. Maybe they shouldn't
mm,
have. But at the same time, like,
Mhm.
I'm never real like, I'm not a big drinker. Everyone who knows me, my band, they're like, they don't let me drink anyways, but I'm not a big
Yeah.
drinker, and, like, if I have 2 beers, that's enough for me. So people might
Mhm.
see me with a
You're
beer at a
good.
show, but, like, I'm milking it. You know what I mean? I'm not going up and back and forth to the bar. I'm just milking that thing for the whole night, and then I have my water on stage. And
Mhm.
the goal is to not need it, right? But gosh, crazier things have happened. Uh, let's talk about some of the other opening acts that you guys or bigger acts that you guys have opened for. I thought I saw you guys open for Blushing Brides.
Actually, that that was an interesting mix-up. We were supposed to open for Blushing Brides,
Oh,
and we still more than likely will be opening for them in the future because we got the contact with them now. But
cool.
Kurt, our guitar player, wasn't available to play that show. But Blue Martini, there was a miscommunication, so we let Blue Martini know, but the person who does their promotion wasn't informed.
Yeah,
So there was a poster up for like 24 hours saying that we were opening for them. But I ended
yeah,
up going to the show. Brielle got pulled up on stage for that show.
Yeah, I know Maurice.
Yeah.
So Maurice was kind of like he knew the situation of how Luscious couldn't do the show
Hmm.
because we were supposed to open. So he's like, if you want to just like come up for a song or two, and they were so sweet, and Doug was there. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
showed up near the end, and
yeah, that was a fun night.
that
I
was an
just
example
yeah.
of a night that you were drinking and singing, wasn't it? You looked very loose
No,
on
I
stage.
wasn't drinking. Maybe I
how
was
dare you, Doug?
excited. I don't know. Actually, I drank after,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I
you
don't know.
know.
You just were very, very into it.
Yeah, I feel like Maurice is a front man like me,
Mhm.
so we kind of fed off each
Yeah,
other's energy,
exactly.
and that's kind of, I was having
Very
fun with
cool.
it. I was taking the bass player's microphone,
Hmm.
Oh,
doing things, but
sweet.
by the
Hmm.
end of the set, I probably maybe did, yeah, because they surprised me and called me back up for Jumpin' Jack Flash. And,
Hmm.
Love it.
yeah, it was a fun
Love
night
it.
though, but yeah, so I sort of guessed it up, and hopefully, I think we're gonna be in the future opening for the
Hmm.
Flushing Brides playing with them. But
Cool.
yeah, there's been some other acts.
Hmm.
Yeah. Who else
John
have you guys opened?
Corabi.
Cool. Oh,
Yeah, John
yeah.
Corabi. He was the singer for Motley Crue briefly
Yeah,
after Vince Neil. Vince Neil's that's Motley Crue, right?
yeah,
Yeah, after Vince Neil had to go into rehab, they got John Corabi. That was an interesting set. We did
yeah.
he was doing an acoustic set at the Brass
Mm,
Monkey. So
mm.
we had to do an acoustic set as well, like acoustic, because I'm a keyboard player. I'm not going to bring a piano to a show. Um, but we had to do a bunch of acoustic renditions of our songs, and
It's
you've
different,
heard our
eh?
music,
It's so
so
different.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
from my own experience taking rock songs to acoustic, it's
Yeah,
gosh, not every song's a Black Hole Sun, where it just
yeah,
transitions so
exactly.
beautifully over like that.
Mhm.
Some of them it's like, oh, this is gonna be a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Uh
Yep.
Brass
Mhm.
Yeah.
Brass Monkey, you like playing there?
Oh yeah, it's great. Actually,
Yeah.
we made a observation. Aesthetically speaking, and just like the overall shape and vibe of the room, Brass Monkey is like the upside down version of Overtime because like for Brass
Ah,
Monkey, you go down into the basement
it's
and they've got the
true.
billiards and all this stuff, and the aesthetic is very similar. And then Overtime, you go up to the top, and it was just a weird observation we made. It was like Overtime, but in the upside down.
Upside down overtime.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
love
a
the
great
Brass
venue.
Monkey. They have a
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
oh, yeah.
really.
setting They have a setting on their soundboard there, Brielle, and
Mhm.
it just says Warren, and it's
Ooh.
because of how loud I am. So they smash my voice with so much compression, and they've done it enough times that they just did it as a joke. So if they ever need to
Yeah,
like smash compression on somebody, they're like, put the Warren on it, ramp it up.
that's funny.
But
I'm gonna look for
Mhm.
that the
oh
next
yeah,
time we're there.
Scotty and
Yeah,
everyone
no,
there,
it's
so many great
lovely.
memories. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they've had huge acts there. Like they've had really big professional
Yeah,
acts.
we opened for Sumo
We
Psycho there
also
too.
opened for Sumo Psycho with
Sumo Psycho was
yeah,
not an
Oh,
acoustic set.
yeah, and
how good were
that was a
they?
lovely experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sky sweetened them so
Oh yeah, they
sweet.
were great. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah,
Amazing,
good time.
amazing experiences at the opening up for these bigger acts. So much fun. We learned so much. Let me go back in time again here. Doug, you're learning piano. What age do you start?
Okay. I have a kind of lame story.
I like it. I
You
like it.
know, you know, My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion,
Yes.
the Titanic theme.
It's one of my favorite
So when I
songs.
was 4 years old, we were visiting family in BC, and they had a keyboard in the house, and we had just watched the Titanic, and I was in the basement, and I was figuring out how to play the melody of that song at the keyboard. And then that was the moment, like, my family's all musical. My dad played for years in a touring band. He was in a band called Percy and the Teardrops, which is a fairly somewhat notable band that came out of Kingston, and a bunch of other bands. But my
Cool.
mom saw that I was doing this, and she said, "Oh, okay, I guess we should put that on our radar." Over the next few years, I would always play at my grandmother's house, and then eventually I had to go to my mom and say, like, "Hey, want two things. Can we have a piano, and can I have lessons?" And that was, by the time I was 8, I was taking lessons. So it was a bit of a process, because my mom had already wasted a bunch of money on lessons for my two older brothers, because it didn't,
Idiots.
like, my oldest brother is probably one of the best drummers to ever come out of Kingston, but
Oh,
he
wow.
failed at piano completely.
Mm,
And then
mm.
my other brother is an amazing bass player, but he didn't really discover that until he was probably around 14. Um, so it took me a while to sort of, like, get my parents to invest in that, because they had already done it with the two older brothers and it didn't work out. So, but yeah, I just liked pushing buttons.
Dude, my story is so similar to yours. Like you say, that's a lame story. Okay, listen to mine. So I'm about 5 years, 6 years old, and I'm sitting downstairs watching a movie. And what movie is it? It's Free Willy,
Yeah.
which is Michael Jackson was did
Mhm.
the music for it. And
Yeah.
so the theme song for it's like da da ba ba da da ba 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 da da.
Mhm.
Very simple, very chromatic, right? But I went right upstairs to the piano and I played it. And then again, my mom was like, "Oh, you have an ear." So then they put me in piano. So it's
Mhm.
like there you go. Very cool that we had like a very similar life event. Different
Yeah.
movie, but like that first thing where you see the kid go like, "Oh, I've got an ear. I can hear
Yeah.
stuff."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's the most important thing for music, right? Like
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
it is. I mean, they want you to learn how to do everything the right way and read it and all of this stuff, but ultimately if you can hear it, you can do it. And
Yeah.
so very cool story. And Brielle, when do you start singing? Did you do another instrument first, or did you just go right into vocals?
Well, yeah, I sort of, vocals they're my true love from the start. I do play guitar and piano as well, but basically what happened with me is I was in the car when I was 6, 7 years old singing "Oh Canada," and I always loved to sing. I used to impersonate, MTV was on. I'd always like look at them and be like, I want to be like that.
Mhm.
But I just sang "Oh Canada," and then my mom's friend's grandma
Mom's
was like,
friend's
yeah, that's quite
grandma.
a line, a lineage there. Uh, she was in the car with me, and she heard me sing "O Canada." She said to my mom, like, you got to put her in lessons, sort
Mhm.
of similar in that sense to you guys. And
Mhm.
I started singing opera. I was in lessons when I was 8, and then I went into uh, I was in rock academy, did the rock thing. I
Mhm.
changed genres a few times to country for a bit and pop, and then went back to rock and roll music. So I'm kind of a chameleon in that way. I just change my colors and and then I sang with Paul Langlois when I was like 12,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
he told me I sound like Linda Ronstadt because of the
Nice.
chameleon vibe.
Mhm.
That's a
I
nice
thought that was
compliment.
really humbling. Yeah, and but yeah, I've kind of done everything. I started when I was 8. I did talent shows. People are just like, you need to get her in lessons,
Mhm.
and here we are, still doing
Did
it at 25 with a amazing band.
did you
I
do
think
dance
so.
too?
You're welcome. Did I dance?
Yeah.
No. So I always wanted to take choreography, but
Mhm.
I just kind of looked at the greats, like, Gwen to me, Debbie Harry, Stevie Nicks, Gord
Yeah.
Downey. huge one. It's
Yeah.
just these like frontmen that have and women that have this amazing energy, and I
Mm,
always wanted to be energetic like that, and being in Luscious really brought that out for me. I
mhm,
think I could just really express that. The guys allow me to,
mhm.
in a great way, and be myself, and yeah, we just keep. I don't know. I've just like the confidence grew for me in that way, and I kind of always wanted to because I love Britney Spears and stuff. I just
Mhm.
do. Not vocally, like she's amazing, but her
Yeah, but I
dancing,
bet
like,
you,
yeah, it's
I
okay.
It's okay.
I bet vocally you could do a mean Britney Spears if you wanted to. And
We've talked about
Yeah,
doing a rock and roll, you know?
yeah, we've
this
we've
is
toyed with that idea. Like a rock and roll version of Toxic, I think would
Yeah.
be really badass.
In her
I
prime,
Yeah.
she was unstoppable.
amazing.
I mean, it's
I
not.
Mm.
really don't
Yeah.
know else how to describe the Gwen Stefani, the Britney Spears thing. I don't know how to describe it vocally other than sticky vocals. I don't know how else to do it.
I
And
get it. No,
and the
that's
only
a
way I can explain it is like the baby, baby, like there's like some kind of stickiness to my voice, you know, and there's some kind of,
I've been told
there's
deep,
something
yeah.
there, and you
I've been
have it,
told
which is
that
not
before.
it's a
Yeah.
compliment. It's like it's a
Mhm.
stylistic thing that you're able to incorporate naturally into your voice. And it's just like it's the same way.
Mhm.
I'm able to incorporate some grit and some growl in there that can be appealing to
Exactly,
some
and being in a
people.
rock band, yeah,
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
totally
yeah,
have
yeah.
heard the Gwen thing too, and I feel like I either get
Yeah.
that or, like, Sass Jordan. I think it also
Oh,
it's just
yeah,
like
I'd take
this.
the sass. Hmm?
Yeah, take the sass. Yeah, exactly, right? But no, I definitely thank you. I take it as a compliment for
Good.
sure. Gwen is amazing, and no doubt we get compared a lot to
Yeah.
that, so it makes sense, you know?
Brielle, do you
Yeah.
remember what I described my singing voice as?
Please tell me again.
Great value brand Dave Grohl.
I do hear it. We hear that, right?
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's interesting. There's a lot of guys I know, and they're like their go-to voice is like a version of Dave Grohl. Like once
Yeah.
they start singing, I'll be like, oh, they like the Foo Fighters. They like the Foo
Just
Fighters,
I didn't. It's funny. I didn't even really like the Foo Fighters. Well, I do like the Foo Fighters. Not my favorite band by any means, but I just yell in key and
right?
hope for the
Yeah, and
best.
it works.
Yes, yes, it's very
Yeah.
strong. His style is
Yeah.
basic. He's not like some
Yeah.
crazy, because he was a drummer. So I think he probably taught himself vocally to sing maybe behind that kit.
Yeah.
And like the only drummer I've ever seen sing like Cody from Crown Lands is Cody from Crown Lands. I've never seen
Mm.
another.
Yeah.
Maybe the drummer from Queen, like maybe Roger Taylor. He could do some pretty crazy vocals back there on the kit. But
Yeah.
even still, I don't think it was quite as high pitched. But I don't know. All the little observations. So you guys have been friends, obviously, then for a really long time, right? Like
Mhm.
before Luscious?
Well, do you want me? I always tell this story. You want me to get? You
Doug's
want to
good
tell
at
it or
telling
what?
it. Luscious brought us together. Like
Yeah.
that's, that was, but you tell the
Are
story. You're
you
good
are
at
you familiar with internet phishing
it.
and scams?
Yes.
So, anyways, Brielle sent me a message on Facebook, and obviously you see, an attractive young woman messaging you on a social media platform. I thought she was a fisher. Like I thought she was some guy in a random country trying to get my PIN number. Um,
Good
so I
call.
almost just ignored the message altogether, but I looked at our mutual friends and I was like, okay, we have all these mutual friends. She must be a real person. Um,
Maybe.
so it turns out she had seen videos of me showing off my playing on YouTube,
Oh,
and decided that I would be a good fit for her her project that she was doing for the EP that she released. She had a EP called Beautiful Disaster.
Yeah.
Um, and her whole purpose was to find these musicians to do an EP release and then, have a band that can play it. So she found me first, and thankfully I did respond to the message. I did not delete it, thinking she was a scammer. And
Woo.
then Kurt Paquette,
yeah.
I am a scammer. No, I'm joking. Joking.
Kurt Paquette, they have been friends long before Luscious, though,
Yeah.
and Wyatt McMullen. So she had already figured out that Kurt and Wyatt were going to be the drums and the guitar player, and then she just had to find a bass player and a keyboard player. So um, that is just like, so we weren't friends before. And then the funny thing too is I thought on her Facebook, she's listed as being older than she actually is. So I showed up for our first meeting to decide, like, am I going to be in this band? And I had all but like completely decided to, sign on, be in this band. And then at the end of us meeting, I was like, wait, so according to what your Facebook, you're either 19 or 20. It had a birth
That
year, but it
was
didn't have
so
a month.
funny. Yeah, and I'm literally 16.
Yeah. No,
Like,
you would just
oh,
turn
okay,
17.
sorry,
You
sorry.
turned 17 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I just had an hour-long meeting with this woman,
Oh,
thinking that she's a 20-year-old, and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm 25, 24,
Oh,
25, but
yeah.
whatever. She's an adult. We're gonna make some music, and it's gonna be fine. She's already got some shows lined up. And then at the end of the meeting, I find out she's 17, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll still be in this band, even though you're still doing high school, but that's fine. So I agree to show up the first practice, and Kurt and Wyatt are also listed as older than they are on Facebook. So I look them up, and Kurt and Wyatt are also showing as closer to my age. So I show up to our first rehearsal, and we're in Kurt's parents' basement.
yeah.
There's like all
25-year-old
this.
Doug, like my
Yeah, I'm
age, right? Yeah,
just
you're
a
my age
full
then.
grown man showing up to a bunch of high schoolers' house, and I felt a little bit weird about it. But the beauty of it
We
is
keep you young.
yeah, I guess.
Sorry.
No, I have been playing, like I mentioned, my dad's very musical. My whole family's very musical. So I've been playing with very seasoned musicians my entire life. From the time I was 6 years old, I've been surrounded by seasoned musicians. And in my adult life, I had played with a bunch. Like I said, I'm a prog snob. So my, you know, expectation of musicianship is fairly high, being like a Dream Theater fan and all those bands. So I show up to this first practice, and yes, they're all 17 and 18-year-olds, but they're all amazing. So
Oh.
I'm just, I guess, I was
How
like,
are
I
you?
guess I'll just be this creepy old man in the band until they graduate from high school, and I can feel a little bit more normal. But
I think you did the right thing. I think you made the right
yeah,
call,
thanks.
and it was all for artistic reasons, and that's why everything worked out perfectly. I
Yeah.
mean, I've got stories of auditioning a bass player for Taming Sorry in the very early days. This is before Alex, and this guy came in, and he's like, "I play prog," and I was like, "Okay, well,
Perfect.
we're a rock band and we do mostly like
Hey.
70s 80s style rock music, but if you
Mhm.
want
Yeah.
to audition, no problem." He's like, "I have my own composition, I'd like you to listen to it." And then he proceeded to play for 15 minutes, just the bass. 15 minutes, just him on the bass. And
Mhm.
at the end, I was like, this isn't gonna work. This is just not gonna work. This is not a fit.
Mhm.
And Alex, my next bass player who came in to audition next, because of this audition, I was like, I had no hopes for Alex. I was like, he's gonna be messed up too now. So he comes in and he's wearing like an Iron Maiden shirt. So now I'm going, dang it. Now he's too heavy. He's exiting my genre and going into the next one. Like, I don't want
Mhm.
it.
Right?
That's just too heavy for me. Like, I
Mhm.
love Iron Maiden, but it's just out of me, out of what I can do. So I'm like,
Mhm.
dang it. And then, but he ended up being amazing. He ended up
Mhm.
leaving like an orchestra for us here in Ottawa, like a small orchestra thing that
That's
he was
cool.
like,
Wow, that's
Yeah.
sick.
yeah, where he was doing like stand up bass and that, but he wanted to get back into the music scene, into the rock scene. So it ended up working out perfectly. But you kind of have to go through that journey of finding the
Mhm.
people that you click and mesh with and who
Yeah, the
really
right fit.
want. Yeah, they got to want what you
Yeah.
want.
Mhm.
And as you guys know, you got to row together. And if somebody in the boat stops rowing, you're not going straight anymore. You're going to start curving off. It's not good
Mhm.
scene. And it happens to every band, and the whole game is how long can you keep everyone in the boat? How long
Mhm.
can you keep
Exactly.
everyone in the boat without turning their head, looking behind them? No, 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 no. Just look forward. Don't. No, 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 no. Don't look at that duck over there. Just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just focus.
exactly.
And
That's
so that's, I think, the biggest challenge for all bands. Uh, right now, I saw you guys were doing some kind of a Rolling Stone magazine competition. Are you still doing that?
we
Okay.
made it very far. Unfortunately, not anymore. But yeah, we were in it. For America's Next Top Hitmaker, and there are so many people supporting us and just giving their votes to us. So we're so thankful. Like it was such an
Hmm.
amazing experience
Yeah,
to
the
be in that.
the
Yeah.
Rolling Stone thing was interesting because the money donated
Mhm.
goes to a good cause. I can't remember the name of the charity, but it's basically a charity that helps struggling, recovering addicts in the music scene.
Oh, good.
The one thing that was really, really, I guess, inspiring for me with that is we were in second place all the way through, and then we ended up finishing second place in the wild card round.
Mhm.
But there's a pay for a votes mechanic, which that was kind of cool because I knew for a fact, well, not a fact, but I knew there was probably not many people paying for our votes. And we were able to sort of organically, just with the free votes, the free daily votes, maintain second for so long. Because the
Yeah.
person who's in first has probably spent, thousands of dollars in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So that was actually really cool. Like it was nice to know that we had enough of support in Kingston, outside of Kingston, in our online presence to have people just with the organic, free votes per day to sort of stay in that spot, which was cool.
Yeah, kudos for going for anything. To me, it's like if you're gonna go for something, you go for it, and I just respect that. I think that it's so difficult to get a united front and then to carry through on a united front. So, and I've done it many times where it was like, yeah, where I didn't win or I didn't have success or whatever it is. But if you finish the project as a band, I think you can move forward onto the next one with your head up high and just know that you learned
Mhm.
something, you gained something, you now know a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, good on you guys for doing it and fighting the good fight. And I
Of
hope you guys
course.
got some new fans out of the process or whatever it might be. Um, and now I'll touch on the touchy subject, if that's all right. And we'll just go
Yeah.
briefly. We won't go long, because I did have the lovely Rowan Picard come into the studio here and do the podcast. And she's a lovely young musician, fantastic. I
Mhm.
love her, and I did not know about any drama, or I don't even think there is drama, but I didn't know about any change ups at all in lineups or anything until that night. Like I didn't know. So I just asked
Yeah.
her, and then she was like, "Well, Brielle's not doing this band anymore." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, I'm horrible at research and I've completely failed my job because now I've just walked in and I don't even know what the heck is going on anymore." So,
Before you go any further, if it makes you feel better, we did another interview a while ago with another podcaster, and when he was introducing the band, he introduced Cole as Drew because he also
oh,
didn't do his research. So don't feel bad; it happens
oh,
Yeah. Our
sometimes.
old bass player. So
Yeah. Anyway,
oh,
sorry.
ouch,
Continue.
ouch,
yeah,
I,
exactly. It's
oh.
okay. Like, oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah.
so I've listened to the music and it is your voice on the music. It sounds
Mhm.
good to me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
That must have been difficult for you to make a decision to do this. What I can attest to in this is that committing to a band is incredibly, incredibly time consuming, soul draining, energy burning, you name it. So
Mm.
I totally do not criticize you. I see you making a very difficult decision that you had to make for you. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I have so much love and respect for those girls. I mean, I helped start that band and it was just too much for me essentially, to do two bands and um Luscious, they're my family and that's sort of all what it was. Like there's no drama or anything. Like we're totally, we're friends and I wish the best for them, honestly, and I really support them and just have love for them. So yeah, it was just too much for me. I was running from rehearsals and I just couldn't take on I just had to make a sort of a decision and
Mm.
yeah.
Well, I think both bands are trying to pursue big things, and with the amount that gets put on your plate when you have two bands that are both trying to achieve certain goals and hit certain benchmarks, it's hard to put your heart fully into both, so you end up having to make sacrifices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all what happened and I still talk to them. And Rowan's such a sweet girl. She's so talented. Like I always thought that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
saw her and I saw the podcast.
I
So
remember
Good,
yeah,
Rowan. She
good.
used to come back in the day to Luscious shows when
yeah,
she was
she
younger.
did
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh
No,
That's
yeah,
I
sort of
remember.
how we met was at a
Yeah.
Luscious show. So yeah,
yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
best to them. And no, it was just too much. And
No,
um,
I get it.
I, yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do it personally because like the two band thing that with originals because I because what if one's doing well and the other one isn't? How am I supposed to feel? I wouldn't
Mm,
really know how to feel. And then I think I would put all my effort towards the other project that maybe was falling behind, and then that would cause the other project to come down. And it would go
mm,
mhm,
back and forth like
exactly.
this for me because I think I would have a hard time seeing either group not excelling at the same rate. And I know there's guitarists out there who are in like 6 bands, and I know there are
mm.
people out there who can do it. But as a front person, I honest to goodness do
Yeah.
not believe I could commit my heart and my energy to more than one.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah,
Well, I don't want to say you can't,
Well,
but yeah,
it's
you
it's
difficult.
t-
It's
you touched
really a
sorry, you
so
touched on a really good point. You said with originals, because it's I know lots of people that are in, three, four different cover bands, but it's a little bit different when you're in two bands that are both trying to write originals because you're trying to then you get in the situation where you have material, then you have to figure out, well, which band am I presenting this material to? And then it's just a weird sort of dynamic that you have to navigate. So like being in a bunch of cover bands, it is what it is. It's just putting the work in. But when you're in two bands that are both writing originals that also in a lot of ways fall into a similar genre, it's
mm-mm.
kind of there's an emotional attachment that sort of makes it hard to pick and choose. So
mhm.
it's I feel I could
Yeah.
see some internal struggle for you. So I'm
Oh,
glad you picked us.
I'll bet
Yeah,
you it was
you
difficult.
know,
I'll bet you it was
Mhm.
very difficult.
it was difficult. But yeah, I'm in a good place. I'm in a really good place now. And Luscious, that's it's my heart. And but I wish nothing but the best. There's no bad blood between the Petras and us.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yeah,
It happens. Band changes,
yeah, it
member
happens.
changes. All this stuff is part of creativity. It's part of growth. Difficult changes, again, part of creativity, part of growth. Making sacrifices, part of creativity, part of growth. It's just what we're
Mhm.
doing, and
Exactly.
I think you're living it. I think you guys are ambitious, and you have got some big goals. Is this true? Do you have some big plans to come up in the next year or two?
Oh yeah, like we're writing some beautiful songs. We
Mhm.
have some shows we can't announce yet, and
Mhm.
we have a lot of really amazing things happening for us, and
Mhm.
yeah, lots of good songs coming your way.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
so we got our I can never remember how many singles we have out now, but we're finally going to release um more of a re-release of an EP.
Hmm.
Because we re-recorded the songs, we weren't really happy with the original release, so we're sort of going through that process. The reason why we're doing it as an EP release with 6 songs rather than just adding our new songs we've written to it is we're looking at it as sort of like closing the first chapter of Luscious because we spent so many
Mm.
years, doing the covers and all that stuff, and then we spent the last couple of years really drilling in original music and all the songs that are going to be on this EP were actually originally written with another member of the band. So now our new bass player, Cole, has sort of put his touches on them, but they're very much the old chapter of Luscious. And now, so we're going to release those songs as an EP. It's probably just going to be a self titled EP in the fall. And then we're now 4 songs into proper album. So the goal is by probably mid to late next year to do a full length album with all songs that are 100% written with all the current members of the band. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. We're looking at it as this EP releasing in the fall is, chapter 1 of Luscious's journey in original music. And then this album next year is going to be, the next chapter in what we're doing.
Yeah, so we
Cool.
have a lot of exciting things and a lot of good things happening, and we can't wait.
It's a lot of new music.
Yay.
It's a lot of good stuff coming out. So when
Yeah.
you guys record this album, are you guys recording it yourselves? Are you taking it somewhere? What's the plan?
We're most likely going to go to the bathhouse again. So the EP, mine, you've heard that's released in Bombshell, and actually Diamond Ring too, but that was a while ago.
Hmm.
They were all
Mm-hmm.
recorded at the bathhouse,
Okay.
and we love working with Niles.
He's
If the
awesome.
Niles ever goes, I don't know if I want to go back there because Niles is the man. He is
We'll get
Yeah.
the
Paul Langlois to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. No, the I just want to like I guess gloat about how
Good
awesome Niles
choice.
is. So as far as engineers go, he's unbiased.
Hmm.
So
Mm,
he'll give you input on what he thinks the song needs. It's
mm,
not you get a lot of recording engineers who you can tell they're guitar players, or you can tell they're drummers, you can tell they're biased towards some instrument. Whereas Niles, he'll give it to you straight too. Like if he thinks something isn't really working, he'll just say no, this isn't working. But he'll also give you a lot of positive feedback for what he thinks is working, so it keeps you hyped. So he humbles you, but also makes sure you're inspired when you are doing something right at the same time. And he doesn't insert a lot of bias. He's just great to work with.
that
Um,
sounds awesome.
for the songs we did, we had it all recorded at the bathhouse, and then Cole. We keep talking about Cole. He's the new bass player. Brielle's wonderful older brother.
Yeah.
He actually graduated from Metalworks
Mm-hmm.
for sound production. So
Yeah.
we actually had him mix and master all the songs that are going into the CP and the mine and Bombshell that we've already released. So it's likely for the album we're going to follow that same framework. Record at the bathhouse and then
Mhm.
probably have Cole mix and master. We got to ask him if he wants to first, I guess. But we'll see.
Hoping
Cole,
yes.
Cole, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
Hmm.
Cole.
Yeah.
Come on. You got to do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's super
Right?
exciting. That's so fun. That's so
Um,
exciting. It's good that you guys got Niles, that you've made that connection as someone that you
Mhm.
trust. And like you said, he's giving you criticism, but also lifting you up at the same time, telling you the good and the
Mhm.
bad and the ugly, and then not hiding anything, which is,
Yeah.
so helpful. And
mhm.
yeah, I mean, I was talking with another guy not long ago about like they were about a producer who was trying to like come in and like snag credits off this one engineer and this other project that was going on. It's like
Mhm.
who knows, like Niles could blow up and be like the next big producer, and he could do it through
Yeah.
Luscious. So you
Exactly.
don't you
Yeah.
never
That'd be sweet.
That
know.
would be
You never
awesome.
know. You just got to keep working and believing, and I know you guys will.
Yeah, you
Thank
have to keep
you.
going.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Do you have any advice for young ladies who want to get into rock music, Brielle? Because I think I don't know what to tell young ladies who want to get into it. It's a yeah. Well, here's my opinion. My opinion is it's an advantage to you in the first year or two, and then after that, it's not as much as an advantage anymore. And I just
Yeah.
wonder, like, is there anything you would advise to them?
Honestly, I think I would just say during all the hardships, during anything, just really keep going. And,
Mhm.
that's sort of what the beaches said to me. Um, but it's so true. I think it's just keep going no matter what, especially in rock and being a woman in rock, being anybody in rock. But, as a woman, I would say just, don't give up. Just don't. And it's very simple, but it's effective.
Mhm.
It's what, you know, I just feel like that's the best advice I could give. Be yourself, be authentic,
Mhm.
and just be who you are. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Uh, I really believe in all of that. And that's what I've done or tried to do in all of the highs and lows of music.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm with great people who I love playing music with and, you know,
I
yeah.
add maybe a
You
hot
can
take. Add
do you
maybe a
want to
hot
add?
take. Not even a hot take to that, but just a reality check to that is when you are a woman in music, a woman in anything, there's sort of that dark side of we struggled with this in our first year or so of Luscious. You're never sure if the fans that are at the show are there because they genuinely like your music or if they're there to see the pretty girl. And it may be controversial to say, but men suck.
I
So
think this is something to talk about. I honestly
yeah.
do. I think
Yeah, yeah.
like honestly, I don't judge. I'm not looking down. I'm not trying to criticize or
Mhm.
change anything. I just want
No,
to understand the situation of the world better that we find ourselves in. And the
Mhm.
thing is like it's honestly for rock and roll, it's time for women to shine. And bands
Mhm.
like the
for sure,
Beaches
for
are
sure.
showing that. JJ Wild, the Beaches, and so on and so forth. I think that
Exactly.
it's like a leveling out of the playing field in a certain regard where we're seeing
Mhm.
some fantastic female rock artists coming out. But like you said, Doug, it's also we know about the state of the internet. We also do know
Yeah.
about the state of things like OnlyFans and
Mhm.
what else is going on in the world to detract away from pure talent, to detract away
Yeah.
from something that is
Mhm.
just honestly all about feeling good rock music, you know? So these are challenges I guess you deal with that I don't necessarily deal with. But when I was in a band called Ginger Fox Band, I used to show up to venues and they would ask me where the girl was. They'd ask me where the ginger
Yeah.
fox was. And I'd say, "That's me, sweetheart." And
Love that. Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
all you're getting, baby. And
Mhm.
so
I'm the
uh
ginger fox,
Yeah.
right? That's
right,
you.
and then they would say, "What?" They'd say, "What?" And then I'd say, "Well, first of all, a female fox is called a vixen." And then they
Mhm.
go, "Oh," and I go, "Sorry, man. Sorry, man." And that was the old
The
days, like when I was maybe your age, Brielle, doing music.
Yeah.
Back, like you're still young in your career. You guys are still, Doug. You're still young in your career. There's
I
still,
turn 32 tomorrow.
hey
I'm
man, you're
I'm getting up there.
still a baby to me. Still a baby to me. I've been rocking in the free world for a while, man.
Mhm.
And it's like Brielle says, just don't stop. Just keep
Yeah.
Yeah.
going and just keep being
Don't give
yourself
up.
because time doesn't care.
Yeah.
Time just doesn't care what we're doing. It's just gonna
Mhm.
keep smoking
Exactly.
on by. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you so much to Brielle LeBlanc. Thank you so much to Doug O'Handley. They are from Luscious. They are from Kingston. You need to get out there. You need to support them. Find them on Instagram. I've got links below. I keep doing that where I'm not putting the right hand, but yeah, links below. And support them. Get out there. Listen to some Luscious. You will enjoy it. And yeah, I'd love to play a show with you guys down the road. I'm hoping to get my gear back up and running in October, and I'll reach out to you guys. And I'd love to do a gig with Luscious. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Sounds like
Yeah,
a good time.
for sure. Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Oh, an absolute pleasure. You guys are awesomely fantastic guests, and just love it. Love the energy. Love the pink flamingos.
Yeah. I figured it's just one of my more luscious t-shirt or shirts.
A
So,
staple.
yeah.
I have one too, but it's white. And then with the pink flamingos are
Oh,
they're
you should have wore
smaller.
it. No,
Mhm.
I know, but then
it
we
would
would have
match.
known we've been like soulmates. We'd been like, "Oh no, maybe you're supposed to be in my band. Maybe we're supposed
Exactly.
and then we should be called Pink Flamingo Band." And then it's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
that band already exists." Oh, okay,
The
never mind.
number of times I walk
Rats.
out
Yeah.
to her show and I'm wearing the same sequin skirt that Brielle is
Yeah.
wearing.
We're always wearing the same thing. Like, somebody has to change.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Brutal.
Great fashion sense going through the band there. You can't complain.
Right?
Mhm.
Well, thank you again to Brielle. Thank you
Thank
again to
you.
Doug. And
Thank
thank
you.
you at home. And we will see you next time on All Worn Out. Bye bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.